Welcome everybody.
Good morning. Let you get all connected. Good morning, everyone. So welcome to our session. I'm going to drop a link into the chat right now to everyone. So that way you can connect onto this Nearpod with us. There you have it.
We wanted to make the presentation a little more interactive, so we thought we'd grab an interactive tool and actually have you guys contributing to some of the information as we go through it. I think also catching that information and utilizing it as we're moving on.
Yeah. So welcome.
Yeah,
welcome to Supporting Literacy Through Technology Integration. And I'm Apple. I am an OCRA member. I am like a past president. I don't know how many pasts, but it's a really fun experience being part of Orange County Reading Association. I'm very proud to be a member, and it's great to give back to the communities and do fun things like this. And I'm presenting today with Randy Colsett.
That's me. I'm Randy Colsett. I think we actually have a slide here of who we are, so we probably bring that forth. So I'm Randy Colsett. My title is Coordinator of Educational Technology. So I do, I guess, presentations primarily to talk to people about how you can use technology and incorporate it into instructional practices. And I've been doing that for about 22 years, I think. Taught for about 10, and now I've been in administration for about another 12 years as well. And I'll let Apple, you'll go back into yours. I'll just run through my little slides here. So this is my family. This was my son's, I think 13th birthday last year. We were actually, it was in the middle of the pandemic. I think the whole world shut down on his birthday. And I like to travel and teach scuba diving. I actually have a scuba class this afternoon. So when the pandemic hit, it kind of put a damper on everything that we were trying to do as a family. But we're getting back into it. We actually inherited a trailer now, and we're trying to figure out how we can migrate across the countryside this summer. So that's what our dreams of. And Apple, who are you, Apple?
So I'm Apple. These are my pets. I have 2 cats and a dog. You might hear my dog barking, or you might see a cat walk right in front of the camera today. I got my multiple subject teaching credential in 2009 from Cal State Long Beach. And I just recently in December received my master's in educational technology. So that was quite the challenge during the pandemic, juggling both and teaching a 5-6 combo class. So I was a 5-6 combo teacher for a few years, and now I'm the educational technology TOSA for Orange Unified. And on my free time, I love playing video games. Splatoon is one of my favorite games. It's on the Switch. If you have it, let me know. I will play with you. And that's a picture of my husband and myself. We got married. This is our 3rd year. Feels like 5 with the pandemic. Like time is like weird, but it's been great. So that's a little bit about who we are.
Hopefully it won't grow exponentially. Like you're married 10 years, it feels like 20. Don't go that much. All righty. So here's our objectives for today. I think this was you, Apple.
Yes. So our objectives today, we're going to explore some examples of leveraging technologies to support literacy in the classroom. We're going to kind of go through the role of technology in the classroom with the TPAC framework, and we'll explain what the TPAC framework is and understand the importance of it. And we're going to go over the SAMR model, how it works with the TPAC framework. So we're going to go through technology in the classroom basically, and you'll walk away with tools and examples of how it can be used in the classroom.
All right.
So just make sure if you're joining our Nearpod, that's you can toggle between the Zoom. You could watch the Zoom, or you could just stay on the Nearpod. So what the Nearpod does is it's us controlling the slides on your screen, and we'll move along the slides, and you'll stay right on on the right page with us. So it's like we're moving the pages with you, and you're on that Nearpod. So the link is in the chat. I'll put it in there one more time, and just in case you need it. Or if you go to nearpod.com, the code is at the very top, the EQCIK at the top of our screen that we're sharing. So I'm just going to share some norms for learning today. If you are a pre-service teacher and you are applying for an Avid elementary school or an Avid school site, middle school or high school, most schools in Orange County, a lot of them are Avid elementary. So that is advancement via individual determination. So works towards college and beyond. So one of the strategies that they use is norms for learning, AEIOU. And so this is something I just want you to be mindful of today. I'd like you to pick one of these and commit to it. And so, or commit to all of them. And so A stands for ask questions. You can use it in the chat. You can, unmute yourself and ask questions. We ask that you engage fully, do your best to put away distractions, really invest in this session with us and, be present in the moment, integrate new information. So as you're learning, new things, integrate it in your lessons or in your life, and open your mind to diverse views and utilize what you learn.
And then I don't know why I got cut off there, but basically we're trying to take a journey through literacy. And it's important to remember that most of these concepts and these ideas come from a framework that's actually built out from like the California State University, Sacramento, actually, I think pushes this out quite often. With that structure for literacy and understanding that we're going to try to break apart, decode, and then eventually build our students towards comprehension in the literacy and comprehension process. So we're going to use this as kind of the foundation to what we're talking about today. Which then leads us into technology integration and why and how come we actually want to do this. Some things that Apple wanted to remind you of are...
Sorry, my mic. Technology integration. So these are some things to remember. As teachers, everyone is at their own comfort level with technology integration. So do not compare yourself to others. That's just not a healthy way to live life or to teach, right? To look at teaching. Everyone's at their own pace. So comparing yourself isn't going to do any good. And, we need to remember that we are learning with our students, and that's normal, right? That's just every human is continuously learning every day of their life. So with technology, we learn with our students. Anytime you try something new, make sure you allow some playtime, right? Like here's a new app I want to share with you all, or a new website. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to play, and then we're all going to listen and see what we need to do with it, right? You always want to give some playtime. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And then the most important thing is when you're using technology in the classroom, it's about fun, right? So if you're not having fun, why are we doing this? So it's all about having fun. And the best way we learn is through play, right? Kids and adults. So just keep all of this in the back of your mind when you think of technology.
Perfect. Well, one of the quotes my wife often puts into her line on her emails is, I think it's from Theodore Roosevelt, is that comparison is the thief of joy. So find the thing that you're comfortable with and move forward. So thank you, Apple.
So why do we do this? Why do we add technology in the classroom? Why? And we do this because we want to create empowered learners within our students. We want them to be digital citizens, not just citizens of the world, right? There's a whole new world online, and they need to know how to be a digital citizen. They need to be knowledge constructors. They need to be innovative designers, computational thinkers, creative communicators, and global collaborators. These are all the goals for teaching using what's called the ISTE standards. If you're not familiar with the ISTE standards, they are our national standards for technology use in the classroom. So these are standards to go by, and we'll go a little bit more into that. But this is the why with technology.
Which then leads us to like, well, if we have to do all of those things, I'll jump back one slide real quick. If we have to do all these things with students, how are we going to make that happen? ISTE gives us a kind of a list and a action items on like what we should be doing with the students on each one of those. If you look up the standards, they'll tell you like, here's what students should be doing.
Like
but then we need to put that,
like
we need to put that in. We need to put that into some sort of structure. And so what came forth was the TPAC framework a while back. And what that really stands for is being able to take your content knowledge that you already have in place, that you understand, applying your pedagogical practices that you've put into place, and then starting to apply the technology to that. So TPAC stands for technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge. So once you start to apply all those into an efficient process, or an impactful process, which is basically the centerpiece here, if you start to align them all together, you actually get a very nice lesson plan that can actually create all those things that we talked about in the ISTE standards. You start to be able to apply all of that and support the students in their learning. So what we thought we'd do today is we'd play like the TPAC game, which I think Apple, actually the link is on here. The way the TPAC game works is we're going to drop out the T in TPAC. We're going to take out technology, so there's going to be a big question mark. And then we're going to put forth content, knowledge, and pedagogy. So you're going to probably be introduced to something strange, some pedagogical process you may not have heard of before, and some content knowledge. But we're trying to find one that's common and everybody can work on. And then you're going to think about maybe some of the technologies that you've heard about, worked with, played with, seen kids playing with, and how could you use that to actually do your instruction in the classroom itself. And I think it's the next slide where you can actually click on the link if it comes up.
Previous.
Oh, sorry. There was this slide where you will actually click on the link.
Go ahead, click that blue bar on the bottom so we can show them.
So this should take you to another slide, which actually has these three circles in our Venn diagram. We're going to have a missing T. Well, actually, maybe we could just leave this one. So you're teaching biology. Maybe some of you know something about biology, but apply literacy to that. Like what kind of things do they have to have? Like academic vocabulary, those kinds of things still apply inside of biology. So literacy.
You could say biology or science. Yeah, any kind of science.
And then there's collaborative learning. So we're going to have the students actually working together in order to make sure they start to understand. I would say let's stick with like vocabulary. What are some of the technologies you can start to put into place to make that successful? So at this point, just kind of think about it. I think it's a self-reflection. You have somebody sitting next to you because you decided to join together, talk to them about it. Give about maybe 1 to 2 minutes, and then we're going to ask you to actually contribute some of those ideas on the next slide.
Yeah, we can actually go to the next slide, and we can, that way if they start thinking now, they could type into it.
Perfect. So, and then I think this is a great tool that if you're trying to get your teachers, if you're working at a school site, or you're even for yourself trying to think about ways you can impact your lesson, this is a great starting point in the future. And then if you've actually thought about that, because we gave you a whole 15 seconds, you can type in your ideas here or put in an image, create a recording, and they'll start to pop up on this slide here. We can see some of your ideas. What are some of the technologies you think you could use to work with like academic vocabulary and biology with collaborative learning?
So like science is your content that you need to teach. The practice or the style and way which you wish to teach it is through students collaborating with each other. What are some technology tools out there, ways that you can use?
And nothing's wrong.
Yeah. One example could be Google Slides, right? Think of what you know, think of what you can use.
Quizlet, Padlet, Google search for images. Nice. Yes. Oh, there's I can't remember the name of the book now. Bold Schools, and they talked about how now with like it used to be that we'd take magazines and we would cut out pictures and glue them all into the kids' vocabulary list. Now you actually have all that done for you with a huge repository of images on the internet. You could say, let's look for trees, and now you see a multitude of types of trees, so kids get this very diverse view of like what that vocabulary means when they may have not even understood. Well, trees kind of common, but we get down to other things. Shovels, rakes. Some kids don't know what those are. Nice. And then the nice thing about this, if you find one you like, you can click on a heart and vote on it and say, I love your idea. So how many people we have? We have 7 people. We have 5 submissions. So I think we're good. We got an A on our test here. Nice. Vocabulary education website.
And finish your last thought. If you have not submitted your answer and we move on, it doesn't get saved. So if you're not familiar with Nearpod, that's like that student engagement piece. You're like, okay, 10 more seconds, finish your thought, or it's going to get erased forever, right? And then they'll quickly respond, and then it'll be recorded. And in the very end, it generates a report for you.
Yeah, the other cool thing is you actually get all of this information is saved for you. So I have now collected all of your ideas as students. I can also leave this open if I turn it into a self-learning nearpod, and we can keep that conversation going too. So a lot of ways you can use it with your kids.
Yeah.
Newsella, yeah, there's a lot of tools out there. Nice. Way to go.
Great.
So that's kind of how TPAC works. So it gives you a great starting point to move forward. And then I think we're going to work on a fill in the blanks, which I don't see here. What you guys actually see are a page that has blanks on it, and you can drag and drop words into that area. And I don't think I can actually show the teacher because I'm not the teacher version of this, but you should be able to drag and drop now. We can see how well you understood everything we just talked about. So we'll do a little formative assessment here to see if our instruction is going well.
Just in case, I'll put it in the chat. And it's a drag and drop fill in the blank about the TPAC framework. Just to give an example.
Oh, there's the answer. If you want to know the answers. And I think I'll start to get scores as you guys submit them here. I don't know, Apple, if you can turn this off, because I can't. They won't let me. Normally you can turn off whether or not students' views are seen here.
On the bottom, there's usually like an eyeball, but I think because you're my co-teacher, which is another cool feature. If you have a co-teacher, a student teacher working with you, you can send them a co-teacher link to be a teacher in Nearpod. So Randy is my co-teacher, but on the teacher view, you can hide names. So if you're sharing your screen with your students on the big screen in front of the room, you don't have to embarrass anyone, right?
Right.
Good job, everyone.
Yeah, very nice. Nicely done. They either saw the answers or we did a great job teaching them. One of the two. One of the two. But now we've done kind of a formative assessment. We can see where our students are, and we can either start to break apart small groups or we keep moving forward. So if you didn't get to submit that, I apologize. But we want to give you some more information here, which then leads me back over to Apple and the SAMR model.
So the SAMR model. So in this next section, it's going to show a short video for you on your screen, and it'll show some questions. And I think what we could do, just for the sake of time, I don't know, do you want them to watch it, or do we could just kind of, yeah, we'll go ahead and have you watch it. So go ahead and go on the next slide. Yeah, it's just 2 minutes. And make sure your students can play. Yep. Continue. So on your screen, you can go ahead and play. It asks you 2 questions.
And you may want to mute your microphone. Yeah, so you don't hear. We'll hear like 17 versions of it.
I'll mute myself, but yeah.
Oh. And then there should be 2 questions, right? Where the blue dots are, you're gonna have a question pop up. So about 9:10, we'll be back. All right, it's been about 2 minutes. So while you're finishing up watching that, I wanted to let you know that as you guys go through that video, there's blue dots that appear for your questions. But I, as the teacher, or the co-teacher, and Apple as the teacher, can actually see results. So we can see how the class is doing as a whole watching this video. So if you want to push out content to say, hey, let's read through this, and maybe if it's about comprehension of the story, or maybe it's about vocabulary, or it's about phonics and understanding how blends work, those kinds of things. And then you ask them questions, you can get results to see how your class is doing as a whole, to determine if you need to like reteach or expand upon that lesson so they get more information. So it looks like with the first question, it was the first two layers focus on what's going on with the lesson. It should be enhancing the lesson. You're taking technology and you're taking your lesson, you're kind of putting it into a technology form, and you're probably just taking like your old worksheet and turning it into a digital worksheet now. So that's trying to get it into a digital format. So you're enhancing that lesson. And then maybe you're looking at using all of the features that go along with that tool that you put it into, which will enhance it further. And then when you get to modification, now you're getting into transforming. You're starting to say, okay, what are some ways that I can get the kids to do all those like 7 things that we talked about at the very beginning? How can I get them to be global collaborators, innovators? How can I get them to start creating? And the second question was, name that movie. I don't. What was the name of the movie?
It's the Princess Bride. So he's looking for the 6-fingered man, and he killed my father, prepare to die. Anyway, it's okay if you didn't get that one right, everybody.
Exactly. It was 50-50 in the third there. But I think there's a great comprehension question, right? Did you pay attention? Have you seen it? If we actually watch the whole,
and if it's something relevant, to your class, you're building that classroom community as well, that culture. So it's kind of tying it all in.
Making it fun. So then I think you're still going through this, right? So then here's a slideshow version of what goes on with Nearpod to show you like different versions of how SAMR is explained.
Yeah, these are the different ways to look at it. So on the left-hand side, everyone has these numbered slides, and you can click through and see the different ways that it's a visual of it. Some like it like the deep end, right? And these are just ways to measure how technology is implemented in your classroom.
And it's also important to think about SAMR as not being an evaluation tool. It's kind of a cyclical tool. We talked to Ruben Pentadouris, who's the gentleman who ended up creating this model. And all the way that you implement the technology is going to determine where it falls on the scale, and it depends on what you're trying to do. And as technology transforms, it's going to change like how you're going to have to transform to use it. So you're not always going to stay at redefinition. You're going to probably have to ebb and flow back and forth, but it gives you kind of a guide on ways you can transform your lesson. So again, you can go back to those ISTE standards and try to impact.
It's not a goal. So don't see these as goals to achieve. It's just like, where would this tool that I know of best fall into? What would it be?
All right, moving on. So sorry if we jump past it on you. And then how do they go together, Apple?
Oh, so when we're looking at this, we want to be able to mesh them together, since we're now in the 21st century, right? So we want to, as a teacher in the classroom now, we need to combine our knowledge of, okay, what are the best tools out there? And, is this best done with pencil and paper? Or is it best done on an iPad, on an app that I know of, right? So we're using all these best practices as a teacher and juggling these two things together and marrying them together. So you want to navigate and use appropriate digital tools by using SAMR in combination with your content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and your technological knowledge.
Then you use SAMR to actually evaluate like where you are in implementing of that tool as well. So then we thought we would ask you guys, what are some of your thoughts regarding TPAC and the SAMR model? And I think we're going to ask you some questions here in 3 minutes. She gave you a time. It's
just one question and just like your thoughts on it. There is no wrong answer. It's just another way to use Nearpod, right? So I know it's a lot of information. If it's new to you, TPAC and SAMR, if that was new to you, what are your thoughts? And if you already know about it, what are your thoughts about it in education? And there's a little timer on there for you to see.
Yeah, maybe 3 minutes was too long. Push a little
Maybe.
fast.
Right?
See what happens.
We'll see.
Yep.
But
They
that's
didn't
what's
know.
neat about Nearpod. You can put timers, you can change the timer. So if you have kids who are are easily distracted, and if they see a timer and that helps them as a visual, oh, this is how much time I have to work on this, I better stay focused. It helps with engagement, motivation.
What did I say? Forgot. Oh, they didn't know they were going to be quizzed. They woke up this morning, got their
Oh,
cup
I
of
know.
coffee, logged in. Now they had to think. Ah,
Let's see. I wonder if we could like,
there we go. We're getting answers.
let's see.
The tool helps with planning. What is the best tool? Oh. And then also, as
I like that
you
you're adding a
might be
question.
able to see on the Zoom, this is the teacher view. So you guys are bouncing back and forth between the teacher view and the student view. On your screen is the student view. Once a student submits an item, the teacher can actually push it out and share it back to the entire class, whole screen. So since I have one submission, I would only be able to share one submission. But off that, looks like the, oh, there we go. Got a couple more. Yeah, help for planning. So yeah,
And if
so most
we,
of
if we share it in the classroom, you know, you could be like, oh, what do you notice? Type experience. So, okay, kids, what do you notice? I noticed that they use punctuation. I noticed that they capitalize the first letter of their sentences. I noticed that they, they used it's properly, right? So you're talking about the, you know, when you're writing about anything, you can be writing about math, you could be writing about social studies, anything. But if you take it into focus and you can direct the focus, it could be, okay, what the focus could be about the answer itself. If the question asked, what are two examples? Then you can highlight that. Did this person use two examples? Did they follow the directions, right? So you're using this as a teaching moment as well as like a tool to get information from your students, right? And to assess. And it's just quick, informative, and a great discussion tool.
All right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Now, if you're looking for a way to actually like pull all that together, there's a group out there from the Florida University called the Technology Integration Matrix. This looks highly complex, so I'm just going to talk about it. But if you do a search for the Technology Integration Matrix, up at the top, they have kind of their version of SAMR. But if you, as you go through it, you'll see that it's pretty much the same. And on the left-hand side, what they've done is incorporated learning environments. And they said these are the 5 research-based learning environments that are highly effective in a classroom. And now you can connect the two together. And when you click on each one of these areas, it'll give you examples of what it might look like in a classroom and how you can actually start to incorporate both of these together. Again, they also have evaluation tools, so you can say, okay, I want to do a collaborative learning environment with science, like we saw. And then I want to be able to kind of just utilize the tools where I'm just taking my worksheet and giving over to the students, and I want them to submit it back to me. That's probably entry level, and they'll give you examples of what that looks like and how you can start to move across this continuum so you can actually improve it. So if you want to look up something that gives you even more hands-on, more aspects, look for like the technology integration matrix as well.
I have a link to it in the very end. I have a lot of resources to provide you at the very
Oh,
end.
none of my animations work in Nearpod. So it's
Oh,
not going to
so
work.
we'll have to skip back. We can go back. You're still sharing your screen if you want to go back. It's your second tab
My
at the
second
top.
tab up here. Yeah, that's all right. Well, yeah, well, here, let me jump down just so, because I spent 3.5 hours making an animation that does a whole whopping this, right? So if you're looking for how do we do this in a class, there's John Carippo, for last name, and a colleague of his made something called Edge Protocol. So they actually have tangible practical lessons or lesson designs that you can use. What they're really trying to have you guys do is work less and teach more. So how can you start to use the technology to be able to do more instruction, gather the information that you need so that you can actually teach more to the students and not have to, create the worksheet, pass out the worksheet, grade the worksheet, hand it back to the worksheet, have a discussion with the kids, and then actually teach them again, like, oh, here's what you missed. So what we're hoping technology will do is actually make that feasible for us. If I can jump back to where I do it, Nearpod here. And what they have is something called, they have a whole bunch of programs. And if you, I think we linked the website in the
next slide,
the lesson of the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually jump to Edu Protocols, and they've got a bunch of free resources and ideas that you can use. So you can start to take the technology and utilize it. One of the ones that we were going to show you today is something called WordWall. So if you click on the Oceans quiz link that's in the Nearpod there, it should take you to a screen that looks like this, and they'll ask you to type in your name. And then what I'll end up having to do is going to a WordWall page. You guys will go through a quiz rapidly, and I'll show you kind of what we get out of that. So if you can take the quiz, it's on ocean. So we're going to assume that we actually did an ocean lesson, or we're trying to introduce a ocean lesson. And here's some concepts you're supposed to understand about ocean. So it's back to comprehension and maybe academic vocabulary. And if I look for the screen, while you guys are filling that out, I can actually watch these results at the front of the screen. Currently, I have one. So as you guys fill it out, I'll start to see results. Also, the nice thing is you as students are going to get immediate feedback. You're going to see like what the right answer is and what the wrong answer is off of off the WordWall quiz. And what that does is allows you as a student to know, like, well, what do I need to study? What do I need to work on? What is it something I didn't understand? And then of course, the next question that the student asks is, can I take this test again? Is there a way I can improve my score? And who in their right mind as a teacher doesn't want the kid to improve their score? So yes, take the test again. And they take it again and again. This one's probably pretty simple because it's only 5 questions that I put up. But if you do more complex questions and they have different ways to actually change the activity as well, I think I might actually have to click on it here. You can then change what it looks like. It's the same information, but that you can do my activity.
Refresh the page, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's off of here, but there should be a way to actually jump in. If I click on the actual, looking for the actual link to the item. Maybe this is it. I'll play it myself. But that won't work either. I'm going to look up on my screen here. Close that. This should still be showing results. Yeah, I got 2 results now, which is good. Looks like some people are missing the same ones too. Question 2 and 6 and 4. 4 is a popular one.
I just clicked at random when I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. And now let me get here, and I'll actually look up the activities. So one of the things when we talk about work less and teach more, you guys are doing this quiz and you're like, oh, how long did it take you to build that? How much energy did you spend into it? Basically, with something like WordWall or Nearpod or Pear Deck or Quizzes, Quizlet, any one of those tools, they usually have a community and people have built these quizzes already. So what I did is I said, okay, I'm jumping in. I need to do something off of the oceans, because how many people know that right now it's April and it is Earth Day, or Earth Month, basically. April 22nd is Earth Day. So I said, let's learn about the oceans, because what is 3/4 of our planet covered with? Water. So maybe we should understand and know what 3/4 of our planet is. So I looked for oceans and look at all these quizzes that are out here. There's something like 591 ocean quizzes that have already been built for me. So now I can actually find the what kind of fits into what I'm looking for. I believe this is the one that I went with. Well, and then I can actually copy that into my account and I can modify it so I can add in and take away things that are appropriate or inappropriate. Now I just saved myself a whole bunch of time. On top of that, you guys just took the quiz, you got instant results off of whether or not you got it right or wrong. And then I've also got data here that says, okay, here's what your students are missing and not getting right. So I can see what I've actually missed in teaching or what my students did not understand in the instruction. And then I can also see by students' names what they've missed as well. So then I can start to build out groups if I need to do that, narrow it down. So now I'm teaching more. I'm actually getting in there and teaching the kids effectively and having to work less, because I've not had to pass out the paper, collect the paper, grade the paper, hand it to the kids, and then actually come back and try to figure out all this information. It's already been done for me. And it looks like, what do we say? Correct, incorrect? A lot of people were missing.
Number 4.
Number 4 is a big one. And
No,
question number 4.
no, everybody got that one right. But you can see
Yeah.
on the right hand side, you can see how many got it incorrect and how many got it correct.
Question number 1, which level of the ocean floor is home to the most marine life? So then we'd have to go through, like, let's look at the levels of the ocean. Let's talk about that. And especially if I'm doing an introduction lesson, look how much time you saved yourself with saying, okay, I don't have to teach the whole thing. I probably could just skim through a couple of things and actually really hit the areas that are kind of missed. So this is a process that Edu Protocols puts in place. Now think about like all those things we talked about with the ISTE standards. We've talked about TPAC. You've now taken like vocabulary lesson and said, okay, here's, or even just comprehension lesson. Here's what you need to know. And then you can actually connect it back into the TPAC model in SAMR and say, okay, how can I expand this further along? How would I be able to do this without the technology? It'd be much more difficult in its process. So that's kind of how what do we call this thing? I lost my page. Did I close my Nearpod? No, I didn't.
No, it's
that's how you look at like Edu Protocols has a lot of different strategies like that, and this one's the fast and furious. And he talks about doing it like at the beginning of a lesson, during a lesson, and he calls them repetitions too. It's very entry level to depths of knowledge. So now you're just getting the kids to recall, and a lot of times we spend a lot of time in that area. So maybe we let the machine do the work for us to do a lot of recall. We can now move to the next levels, Bloom's taxonomy, or within the depths of knowledge themselves. We get the kids to actually engage in the content in a more rigorous way. Sorry. Which now leads us to maybe some more examples of how you can use it in the classroom.
More technology in the classroom. So these, I don't know if they will play. Will they play, Randy, if you click it?
No.
Okay, we'll jump back to the slide. So these are examples. The top two are examples from an app called Chatterpix. And in Chatterpix, you can create a mouth on anything you take a photo of, a water bottle, and you talk about the life cycle of the water bottle. You could take a picture of a wall and put a mouth on it and record your voice, and you could talk about the purpose of a wall or anything like that, right? So these are examples that kindergartners have done while they were practicing their writing, and using here with me. My something is here with me, and so this is an example of their work. Oh, can't hear it.
Can you guys hear it?
No.
Oh,
I wonder if it's because headphones.
Maybe, or when I share. I don't know if I have to like share
Audio too.
Yeah, looks like it's already there. Let's try this real quick. Oh, I'd like to share. And I don't have access to those other two.
Oh, I can
share sound, optimize. All right, let's try that. Let's see if this works now. Maybe.
My cat is here.
No? Yeah.
With me.
Nice. So now you've actually, I sorry to jump in front of you here as you're trying to figure out these request ones, but now you actually have, you can hear the students and how they're reading. You can also see how they're writing. You can also, they actually now have to actually create something. So they have to think about what they've done. So think of all the things that are going on in that framework for literacy that's occurring just by the fact you want the kids to record something that they wrote down and tell their story.
My dad is here with me.
Oh my gosh. So two different readers, two different levels. You can definitely hear the difference. Nice. And then over here, what do we have for sketches?
My cat.
Sorry.
My dad is with me.
I got excited.
So Sketches, this is an app where the kids can draw, but this teacher has changed it into a worksheet, and they are practicing the letter. This is also kindergarten, practicing the letter V, uppercase and lowercase, or different letters, Q, as you can see. And they are drawing and connecting their writing to real world. So V, volcano, vase, Q, queen, question mark. So you can see here that they're using technology to leverage their literacy. And then Randy,
these were awesome.
Yeah, here, let me.
We should upsell it. We should upsell it if we can't share it. This
yeah,
was the best clips you'd ever saw. So Clips is a tool that exists on the iPad. I don't know if anybody's seen Flipgrid. You can do the same type of model with Flipgrid, but it's a way to capture ideas and what you're doing, like with regards to reading, or if you have an understanding of a story, or if you want them to summarize a book that they read, would be a great way to do those kinds of things. So I think Apple has a version here for you.
Here we go. Let me see. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Let's see. Let me whoop. Move my Zoom people. There we go. Loading. There we go. Clips. Hopefully you can hear this.
The clown. The clown wore a crown and a gown. He also wore a frown. He saw a brown.
Were you able to hear that?
Yep.
Okay, so the student, you could take a picture of anything. And so in this case, it's a fluency passage, and the student is recording his fluency and then sending it to the teacher. Now, if you're using Google Classroom, Seesaw, however you want to get your students, collect your students' work, your learning management system, this is a great assessment tool, right? You could do this while you're working with a small group, right? You could do this in rotations, but it's a great way to, if you can't sit with your student and you don't have a program like reading, I forget what it's called, but if you don't have a program that captures their reading fluency for you, you've already created your own. Here's another sample.
Building happy places. What do you do when you go to a playground? Maybe you run as quickly as you can to an empty screen. Hop in and soar to the sky. All children like to play and do fun things.
So you can hear how your student reads, and then you can see who you need to pull a small group with, what you need to focus on, and it's a great assessment tool. And it's all self-run. The kids do it themselves. They take the picture themselves. They record themselves. Okay.
And I think these are done with iPads primarily. So the top two are an app on an iPad. Clips is an app on an iPad, and they're using the camera to make that happen. Sketches is another tool where they've taken a picture of the document and they're starting to write over the top of it. But if you have a laptop, you can do similar things where the kids can actually record themselves if they're reading a piece of paper in front of them, and you capture it to things like Screencastify or any other video program that's built into the laptop itself.
Mm-hmm.
That
one just loves to play.
Yep.
Dad is here.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Chaos. Okay. Alrighty. Now these are also ways that you can practice literacy without the kids realizing that they're practicing it, right? So I had my students create stop motion animation. You could do stop motion on Google Slides, or you could do it on an app. But the app is called Stop Motion. But this first one is a science one about matter. And what I usually do, I show my students this and I talk about what do you notice? And I'll play just a little clip for you real quick.
Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about matter and what matter is. Matter is basically everything around us, like atoms. Solids is a form of atoms. Solids, liquids, and gases are all forms of matter. Solids are hard because the particles are packed so close together that there is no airflow going between them.
Okay, so just a quick short sample of it. And I talk to my kids, what do you notice? And they'll say, I noticed there was a gun. I say, right, so what is appropriate? So when we think of our project, when you make your own, what is appropriate? And then they also notice it's off topic. The visuals are great, but it's off topic. It doesn't match what he's saying. He's done a great job practicing, rehearsing, reading, his fluency is there, but that connection. So now revising, editing. So they're already revising and editing for him. It's a grow, right? What can we improve if you were to do this again next time? So they're keeping this in mind as a student sample. So when they work on theirs, they can be aware of those things. So they're practicing so many skills with just seeing an example of another student. Now it's great, however, a little bit off topic, right? And so here's just another quick sample.
Kinetic Energy by Ruby. Today I'm going to talk about how kinetic energy can be made by a water bottle. This water bottle, water is moving inside, right? Well,
Okay, so this talks about she has writing in there, she's reading, she's rehearsing, she's talking. So all these skills being practiced, right? And then here is this one as well. This is another sample. So this last one is a story that they read in our language arts curriculum, and they are recreating it through stop motion.
Peter thought about living next to nature. Peter's friend Ralph bought a land next to walls and ponds, and he let Peter use that land. Thanks. In 1845, he started building his cabin in the woods. Peter liked to be alone, but he
Says he's practicing his fluency, and so on. So you're practicing all sorts of skills. Oh, the second video isn't available, but that is stop motion. Notability app is it's a cool app. A lot of the high schoolers love it, but I can see it used in elementary as well. But Notability is a wonderful app to take notes on and for teachers to present with. So this is just an example of what it looks like. I currently have a math example. This is a YouTube video on how it works on the right, but this on the left is just a sample.
Asks us to evaluate the discriminant for the equation and
It was
determine.
one of our teachers, right?
There's
Yeah.
2 steps here. First thing is to evaluate, meaning find the value of.
Well, she's talking about vocabulary and math, which is a literacy standard.
Mhm.
The discriminant is found by using the formula b squared minus 4ac. It should look familiar. It comes straight out of the quadratic formula.
And
It's the
so
part
as
underneath
you
the-
can see, she recorded her screen, she split her screen, she could zoom. It's a great tool. You can use, it's like having a lot of pens and pencils and highlighters with just the tap of a button. So instead of like rummaging through your things, switching pens, you're just like tapping on the screen and using it to speed your time and record yourself. So she could record herself doing this, send it out to her class, and now they could play it as many times as they need to, right? And fit their own learning style. Let's see. Oh boy.
We're gonna play them all again.
There we go. So this takes us back to that question. How can we do our part to help prepare our students to be empowered learners, digital citizens, knowledge constructors, innovative designers, computational thinkers, creative communicators, and global collaborators? And
I think.
yeah, here in the Nearpod, we have, I don't know, Randy, if you want to click on your Nearpod so that way they could have that access to that link to move forward on the slide. So this Nearpod is not Nearpod. This link is a Wakelet I created, and it just has a ton of educational technology resources. I'm still adding to it and I will continue to add to it. So if it's something you want to bookmark and save, you're welcome to. And it's just like different resources. So there are websites, apps, social media accounts to follow, podcasts that are interesting to listen to. So I'll continuously add to it and it'll grow. And it's just a resource for you. And,
So another tool, Wakelet. Save yourself some time by aggregating more tools.
And you can use it with your students too. You can create student portfolios. They can have a research project and save all their links onto it and be organized, and they can collaborate with someone and like a classmate, or even if you are taking that further step and having a friend's class at another school collaborate with one of your students, and they're sharing resources, right? And then creating a shared, project somehow, like, and so it's just a way to reach beyond just your room. Alrighty, and then
It's like our last slide. So
Yeah.
I think we're kind of early, Apple.
we did great. We were so worried we weren't going to finish, but this is perfect because we have time for questions and
the results.
hear what you're doing.
Yeah,
Sorry, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I wasn't able to get the link from in your last slide because on my end it was blocked, but I think my school district network blocked it.
Okay, let me give it to you in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Let me get that to you. And so what are some things that you all have tried in your classroom or that you would like to try? Go ahead and type it in the chat, or you can share out loud something you would like to try or something you've already tried using technology that you felt was successful and that you would totally do again.
Word wall.
Let me get to my Wakelet while we're doing that.
I guess maybe the better question is asked, like, how did we do? Did we introduce anything new to you guys that you'd probably use again?
Yeah, anything you might use in the future, moving forward, something you want to try?
So Margie mentioned word walls. I don't know if she's used it before or she was going to use it. So there's one. Notability.
Minimize, and here we go. There it is. In case you need that link, there you have it. And let's see.
What time were we supposed to be done?
9:50. So we have 9
Holy
minutes.
cow.
Yeah, we did great. But I've never used it in the classroom. I'd like to try it out. Yeah. Clips. Oh yeah. For fluency, word wall. There we go. So I put the Wakelet link in the chat for you. And those have some resources on there. Go ahead and explore. I'll go ahead and I can click it and share to show you what it looks like.
Oh, somebody asked the best way to get trained on Nearpod. I think
on their website, there's a lot of resources. So let me go to Nearpod website actually.
Yeah, and then if you want to get like a Nearpod certified education level, it's not too complicated. So don't think of like, oh my gosh. Basically, all they want you to do is create a lesson and then deliver the lesson, and then you submit an application. So it's not too complicated. And what they do in that process is they tell you like what are some great things to have inside of a lesson. So that would probably be a great place to start. And then in that, they also lead you into some of those resources, depending on what kind of lesson you want to deliver. The other cool thing about Nearpod too, even in the free version, is they have a lot of free resources. So you can grab those lessons and use them pre-made and then copy them for yourself. And they also now do an integration with Google Slides, as you saw we did here. We create the whole thing in Google Slides. You incorporate the activities then. So you're not having to recreate some of the presentations that you've already built. You can actually just pull in the activities at the point and make it more interactive for the kids. Oh, session 2 begins at 9:45. So we have 2 minutes.
Perfect. Okay, so we did well on time. Good. Oh, I love that. To close a writing unit. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's how we've seen a lot of teachers use it. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I love that. And so cute. And I can see any grade using it.
We did an A+ teacher program in our school district, which talks to our TK through 2 teachers on how to use iPads. And they've also incorporated it into like high school teachers. A lot of the high school teachers are using it so they can get mobile, move around the room. TK teachers are using it for a lot of the resources you saw here. We pulled in a TK teacher from Fullerton, and she's actually using augmented reality now to try to build kids' comprehension and understanding of just different concepts. So they talked about, I think she said, the 3 little pigs, 3 little bears. She's like, it seems to always come in threes. I don't know why. And then they did Jack and the Beanstalk, and she actually pulled in the state parks and did an augmented reality app where they were looking at a tree and all the pieces to the tree. So if Jack had to climb the tree, what would he see? And those kinds of things. So these kids were experiencing things that they probably never would have if they didn't have access to these devices. So
And
think
comparing text to text, right?
Yeah. So think about, like, just because it's, you know, kind of a fun app doesn't mean you as a teacher and your brilliance can't take that and turn it into something that's going to engage those kids and get them connected to reading and writing, literacy. And then when you look at the framework, one thing that was pointed out to me, when you look at the outlying piece to that, the way we really get kids to read and comprehend and stick with the information is motivation. So you got to find something that's going to get those kids connected. So people, you know, always kind of like say, well, comic books, but that's one way to get the kid connected to literacy. And then maybe that leads them into a story. And then eventually they get into doing research. And we look at like the 3 standards. When you look at the standards for technology, it's about research, creation of your information, and then actually connecting that on a global scale as well. So anything you can do on that scale. It's 9:45. We apologize.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Go ahead and make your way to your second session. Thank you.